नमस्ते, मेरे साथ आज फिर डॉक्टर गोइटे हैं। डॉक्टर गोइटे जेएनयू में हैं और पहले भी आपने इनको मेरे चैनल पे देखा है। आज एक संवेदनशील, एक सेंसिटिव विषय है, उसके लिए बात करनी है। मणिपुर में जो हो रहा है उसका आज मई 2023, 2.5 साल से ज्यादा हो गया, करीब अब 3 साल हो जाएगा, 2 महीने बाद, 3-4 महीने बाद, और कोई सोल्यूशन नहीं है। मुझे तो ऐसा लग रहा है कि मामला और उलझ गया है। और शायद इसी वजह से मणिपुर को इसकी सजा मिल रही है कि वो एक छोटा राज्य है। बीजेपी को इससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है कि वहां से सरकार बनेगी या नहीं बनेगी, क्योंकि चुनावी दृष्टिकोण से शायद बीजेपी की स्कीम ऑफ थिंग्स पे वो नहीं है। ये भी एक साल पूरा होने जा रहा है जब वीरेंद्र सिंह को हटाया गया था, क्योंकि मोदी जी को अमेरिका जाना था। उनको डर था कि वीरेंद्र सिंह की बात पे वहां से पूछा जाएगा, और इसलिए उनको हटा दिया गया था। ये जग जाहिर था। हाल के दिनों में हमने देखा कि वीरेंद्र सिंह को फिर बुला के अभी 2-3 दिन पहले उन्हीं से पूछा जा रहा है कि कैसे स्टेट रन करें, क्या क्या करें। प्रेसिडेंट रूल 1 साल हो गया है, आगे क्या करें। और इन सबके बीच एक दुख वाली खबर है जिसपे मैं डॉक्टर गोयते से समझना चाहूंगा। एक एक महिला का रेप होता है 2 साल पहले, 2 साल से ज्यादा। उसके बाद वो किसी भी एक आज आज रेप के बाद ऐसे भी एक ट्रॉमा बहुत ज्यादा होता है, मणिपुर में तो और ज्यादा था। और उसकी अभी 10 जनवरी को मृत्यु हो जाती है। वहां के लोगों का सिर्फ इतनी डिमांड है कि आप इसको साफ साफ जाहिर करिए कि ये जो मृत्यु हुई है वो उस रेप की वजह से हुई है, और ये बिल्कुल साफ साफ दिख भी रहा है। ये पूरा मामला क्या है, क्योंकि इसको लेके लोग बहुत सेंसिटिव हैं। जैसे कभी कभी कोई चीजें ज्यादा, उत्तराखंड में अंकिता भंडारी का मामला 2 साल तक नहीं था, लेकिन 2 साल बाद एकदम से वहां की, खास करके महिलाओं के लिए, वो इंपॉर्टेंट हो गया है। उसी तरह से ये वाला मामला भी मुझे लग रहा है कि लोग एकदम से सेंसिटिव है कि एक आदमी, किसी की डेथ हो जा रही है और आप इतने इनसेंसिटिव है। ये पूरा मामला क्या है डॉक्टर गोयते, पहले ये समझा दीजिए, फिर मेरे 2-4 प्रश्न होंगे आपसे, डॉक्टर गोयते।
Okay, thank you, sir. If you allow me, can I speak
Please,
again?
please go ahead in English. Yes, yes, please go ahead in English.
Because I'm more comfortable in that.
I understand. I understand.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Yes, before I come to the political scenario of how the central government is going back to seeking, suggestions in terms of forming a government again in the state through the ex-chief minister, who is the main perpetrator of this entire violence, I will connect this with your questions in terms of the recent incident, which is in terms of the sexual violence, which is happening in Manipur during the conflict. So then we'll connect this on how structural, systemic impunity has been provided to the so-called, majoritarian in the state. जैसे आपने कहा कि मणिपुर is a very small state with major communities where you have the majority belonging to the Meitei community, and you have two major groups of tribals, the Naga tribes and the Kuki-Zo and Mar tribes. So under this also we have a small ethnic groups within this Kuki-Zo Mar and then the Naga community. So this during this entire ethnic violence, we are seeing a structural violence which has a political impunity to the ruling government. And despite our discussion in our earlier discussion also, when we talk about the uh, double sarkar incident, and if initially at that time also, if things could have been controlled by replacing the chief minister who has been biased. We have seen such kind of conflict, either it be communal or either it be racial or ethnic conflict in the past, in the history of our country. But immediately the central government will come in and replace the head of the state who is more unbiased and who can gain trust, mutual trust from all the diverse community within a state. And coming to this episode of the death of this young girl from the Kuki-Zo community, it completely exposes the systemic impunity for sexual violence in Manipur. This woman's death is a devastating indictment of the Indian state's continuing failure to deliver timely to survivors of sexual violence during the ethnic conflict in Manipur. And it's a clear example of how, despite an FIR was filed 2.5 years ago, not a single perpetrator has been arrested, and not alone arrested, not identified also. So that the abducted and gang rape at the age of 18, this girl, she lived her final years carrying a lot of physical injuries and psychological trauma that the system neither acknowledge or they've never addressed about this. So if we see, for those who have been following the violence, who are I would say right thinking people in a certain perspective, this is highly unacceptable. And there has been a demand for immediate, thorough, independent, and impartial investigation into all allegations of sexual violence during the Manipur conflict. It was given to the CBI to address this issue, but till date we are seeing that nothing has been addressed. And there has been cases around, there is a list of around FIR file, around six list of FIR which were filed uh, during this entire ethnic conflict. So this structural violence which has been happening with the state support, and besides that, in order to kind of defend oneself in terms of the breakdown of the state machinery, the majoritarian narrative, which is a distorted narrative, comes out, which kind of stereotype, only a certain community. And in this recent episode, it is the community who belongs to the Kuki, the Zomi, and the Mar community. And what are those distorted narrative in terms of the kind of issues on encroachment, and then issue of poppy cultivations, and the issue of illegal immigrants. And this distorted narratives is also again further propagated to kind of justify or to kind of rationalize behind uh, stereotyping and behind the violence which has been meted out to this ethnic community. And coming to the recent political development, if I kind of connect with that, uh, uh, it is a clear example, and it strongly suggests that the silence of the state and the central government to bring justice, even after 2.5 years, no FIR when it comes to sexual violence is addressed. Leave aside the kind of violence which has been meted out in terms of beheading, in terms of brutally killing innocent people just because they belong to that certain community. And also, if we see in the recent prime minister visit, and also Amit Shah's statement during the electoral campaign, like how they have claimed that they have kind of restored peace in Manipur, but by restoring the buffer zone, and then on the other hand you have defender of territorial integrity of Manipur. And the defender talk about how certain kind of uh, on the other hand putting it a buffer zone, and kind of reiterate that this the territorial integrity when it comes to inter communal trust has been broken down, and it has reached to the lowest minimum. And there is this crisis of trust, there is this crisis of legitimacy over the over the citizenship in terms of being part of that state. So this kind of political stand the government is taking is it's, I would say, heart wrenching when it comes to the minority ethnic communities. And till this time, despite all this, resilient is so much in this the uh, ethnic community who are the victim of this entire violence, that they still face a lot of hardship when it comes to getting psychological support or medical intervention. By this time, the number of people who have died because of negligence of infrastructure when it comes to medical care may be more than the number which we counted, that of the number of deaths during the ethnic violence. So this is some of the I mean concern which really exposes this structural violence and these distorted narratives. If I correctly remember, in 2018 the chief minister Biren Singh has spoken in the India Today conclave, where he claimed that there is no illegal immigrants in the state of Manipur. And he also talked, it's still online, and he also talked about saying that uh, there are few of them which the state government has, who have migrated, which the and he talks about people from Rohingya community coming to Manipur, and those were the thing. And then suddenly he made a U-turn when this violence broke out, and he says that this community are illegal immigrants, they are poppy cultivators, they are the one who are doing the kind of narcotic or mafia in the state. Where, but on the other hand, you have the state uh, police enforcing agencies and some of the honest inspectors and who are officers who come out against this kind of the drug mafia, where the chief minister is also considered to be the kingpin in the entire drug business of the state. But still, uh, this kind of narratives where you are distorting the integrity of one ethnic community, and no action, no political action till this time, suggests clearly that at the central level there is this impunity which is being given to the chief minister Biren Singh.
Yes. डॉक्टर साहब मैं आई जस्ट वांट टू अंडरस्टैंड एक मैं और आपसे प्रश्न मैं प्रश्न हिंदी में पूछ ले रहा हूँ क्योंकि मेरे कुछ दर्शक आप मेरे ख्याल में हिंदी समझ लेंगे इतना
Yes.
ये सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने एक कमेटी बनाई थी और बड़े
Mhm.
फैनफेयर से बनी थी एक कमेटी बनेगी और उसमें वुमेन रहेंगी और उसको मॉनिटर करेंगे उसका कुछ पता नहीं लगा व्हाट हैपेंड टू दैट कमिटी बिकॉज सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने बनाया था एंड अगर कुछ नहीं हुआ तो वी हैव लॉस्ट होप अगर सुप्रीम कोर्ट की मॉनिटर और सुप्रीम कोर्ट कहा था कि मैं मॉनिटर करूं एनीथिंग हैपेंड टू दैट कमिटी एनी टू योर नॉलेज
In terms of that, I think Supreme Court considered that some of the uh, 87 dead bodies which were killed by the armed, I mean, during the violence, uh, they were, in fact, Supreme Court was claiming at that time that they were infiltrators, right? And the Supreme Court was also taking side. You must be aware of what the
यस
Solicitor General was talking about that time. And then the committee formed, and now the cases which is pending in the Supreme Court is the audio tape of Biren Singh. And
यस
yeah, so as I put it, in terms of the investigation when it comes to sexual violence, there is no action. We don't know what the CBI is doing. Similarly, we are also not aware what the Supreme Court committee is doing. And when we come to this sexual violence, what is interesting was this case was brought to the notice of the National Commission for Women. in fact. And that time, in I think in July, it was brought to the notice of the National Commission for Women. And before the news of the viral video of a mob parading and assaulting two naked Kuki women, right? So even before that, the NCW received all this FIR. But though the video eventually forced the national media to look at the horrors, uh, and when the chairman of the NCW was questioned in terms of whether they are able to reach out to the victims, so she replied that how can we go? We can't even go and reach and access, go to Imphal. So this was the situation when the when the NCW chairman itself is saying that we could not go and visit the state. So those kind of responses from the administration. So similarly, that kind of responses is what we receive from the Supreme Court.
यस।
So yeah.
मैं डॉक्टर साहब एक और चीज में इसलिए क्योंकि मेरे साथ के कुछ लोग वहां गए थे, उसमें डॉक्टर
Hmm.
संदीप पांडे भी गए थे।
Mhm.
कुछ कैंप के में लोगों से बात किया था मैंने उस समय।
Hmm.
वो कैंप्स अभी भी चल रहे होंगे, मैं ये मान के चल रहा हूँ। बहुत मतलब मुश्किल हालात है। आप अपने घर से बाहर एक कम्युनिटी किचन में खाना बना रहे हैं, आपका कोई
Hmm.
बच्चों की पढ़ाई का क्या हो रहा है, एजुकेशन एक है, हेल्थ केयर
Hmm.
एक है।
Hmm.
बहुत ब्रीफली इस पे, क्योंकि वो वैसे ही होगा, मतलब कोई मेरे ख्याल में इम्प्रूवमेंट हुआ है क्या लोग कि कैंप्स में ही लोग रह रहे हैं अभी भी?
Uh, Actually, sir, abhi present situation is that कि even in this rehabilitation camps, आप इसमें भी आपको impartiality when it comes to rehabilitation relief funds or materials, इसमें भी when उस टाइम जब वायलेंस हुआ था, if you can imagine, the chief minister cannot go and visit to that district जहाँ पे
यस।
Kuki-Zo community है. He himself is not confident or brave enough to go and visit there. उसको पता है उसके against क्या uproar हो रहा है, उसके वजह से all this mayhem was happening. So कैंप में अभी सिचुएशन ऐसा है दैट community only contributed. If you ask me, especially when it comes to the Kuki-Zo community, it is the interventions of the community, intervention of the civil society organizations that the camp are running. So abhi the present situation from the people, directly from the people who are staying in the rehabilitation camp, it's it's like equal to not getting any help from the state anymore. So the situation
डॉक्टर
is like, the government adopt कर रहा है कि जैसे मामला को आप ऐसे just give time, public memory बहुत छोटा होता है, they will forget,
जी।
and हम लोग फिर से दोबारा अपना ये चलाएंगे. So recently also they have made all the MLAs of all the community, the Naga, Kuki, Zomimar, and then the Meitei, all the communities sit together, make them sign an agreement, uh, which has come in the news. Even I'm not aware of what is the content of the agreement, but it has kind of diluted the demand of a separate administration in the form of union territory and a separate legislature. So there are also these internal politics which are playing.
गोइंग ऑन।
Yeah.
डॉक्टर साहब, आई स्मॉल थिंग आई जस्ट वांटेड टू अंडरस्टैंड।
Mhm.
मैं आपके साथ कोई प्रोग्राम किया था तो यू हैड टोल्ड मी कि अगर आप प्री 2023 अपने घर जाती थी तो आपको कुछ एक कितने घंटे लगते थे, और
Mhm.
पोस्ट वायलेंस देन यू हैव टू टेक अ लॉन्गर रूट, और काफी आपको घूम के जाना पड़ता है, बिकॉज यू कैन। वो अभी भी वैसी स्थिति है? इट इज स्टिल लाइक दैट,
Yes, it
और यू
is
कैन?
still like that. We cannot, we in the sense the Kuki-Zo community cannot access Imphal airport. And similarly for the Meitei community, the majoritarian community also, उनके लिए भी road transport में, because if we see the geographical map, Imphal beach में है, so on the south you
यस।
have the Tiruchanpur district, and on the north you have the Kangpopi district. These two districts are the occupied by the Kuki-Zo community. So उनके लिए भी यही हाल है that everything they have to go out of Imphal, it has to be through flight. अभी we still cannot access Imphal airport. So अगर दिल्ली से हमें चुरचानपुर डिस्ट्रिक्ट जाना होगा, so we have to go through Aizawl airport, फिर Aizawl airport से चुरचानपुर डिस्ट्रिक्ट around 15 hours. Abhi,
Oh,
recently, when Modi visited, he has inaugurated the Sairang railway station, जो मिजोरम में है. So now, either you have train access, but to reach Sairang or to reach Aizawl from Churchanpur district, it takes 15 hours.
oh my God.
And yeah, similarly
I
for
understand.
people who are residing in Kangpokpi district, they have to take a flight from Dimapur, which is in Nagaland. So from Dimapur to Kangpokpi is another 6 to 8 hours journey if the roads during the rainy season. But yeah, winter season may it is much better, but this is what they have all have to go through. So this is the situation. So in emergency crisis, when it comes to chronic or lifestyle diseases, maybe cancer or diabetes, तो वहाँ पे कोई facility नहीं है. So people die of all these lifestyle
I
diseases.
understand. I understand. Dr. Mittal, my last question is, और वो थोड़ा, it is not Manipur. It is as an Indian I am asking this as a conscious, मैं एक इंसान होने के नाते मुझे हरदम दुख होता है जब त्रिपुरा के एक यंग स्टूडेंट एंजल चकमा को जब देहरादून में इसलिए मार दिया जाता है क्योंकि उसको वो चाइनीज कहते हैं या समथिंग लाइक दैट. और नो मुझे हरदम ये लगता है कि त्रिपुरा हो चाहे जैसे मैं जहां रहता हूं मेरा चेहरा दूसरा होगा, साउथ में दूसरा होगा, ईस्ट में दूसरा होगा, नॉर्थ में दूसरा होगा. ये आप लोगों को कहीं ना कहीं एक अभी भी ये है क्योंकि आप तो एक एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूशन में हैं और अभी भी वहां के जो लोग आते हैं उनको इस तरह की बातें अभी भी सुन, क्योंकि ये पहले था लेकिन फिर मुझे लगा कि चीजें बहुत होने लगी हैं. इंटर कास्ट मैरिजेस हो रही हैं. बहुत से मेरे दोस्त मित्रों के लड़के लड़की ने वहां नॉर्थ ईस्ट में शादी की है, लड़की वहां की है, लड़का. लेकिन क्या अभी भी ये डिस्क्रिमिनेशन आपको लगता है कि ये है? और इस तरह के एक और खास करके जो एक व्यक्ति एक विचारधारा है वो सिर्फ ये मानती है कि हम ही वी आर दी ट्रू इंडियंस और बाकी सब जो हिंदी नहीं बोलता है, जो ये सब बातें नहीं करता, वो इंडियन नहीं है. वो मुझे भी शायद इंडियन नहीं मानते हैं क्योंकि उनको लगता है कि उनके पैरामीटर्स में कोट अनकोट मैं इंडियन नहीं हूं. मैं इस पे आपकी एक आई जस्ट वांट अ स्मॉल एंजल चकमा पे स्पेशली.
हाँ सर, आई कम्प्लीटली अग्री विथ यू कि इन द अर्ली 2000 जब हम लोग भी यहाँ आए थे 1990s लेट 90s में आए थे, तो personally also I do face some kind of racial comments and in colleges and all. Those were early days when early days in the sense not very early, but हाँ, लोगों के जो मेन स्ट्रीम यहाँ पे स्पेशली इन मेट्रोपॉलिटन सिटी वो acceptance that even this mongoloid looking features people are also an Indian. तो वो awareness कम था. But as you rightly said, if we in this recent memory, जो अभी त्रिपुरा वाला केस है, which is happening in Dehradun, I mean it's very unfortunate that it is happening even in a place like Dehradun, जिसमें we can consider it as a very diverse community, जहाँ पे tourists भी बहुत जाते हैं. तो I would say कि ये the episode which is happening in terms of that has reduced, but इस केस में sometimes maybe deliberate attempt on the part of people, despite knowing that they are very much a part of Indian, they are India and they're part of Indian. So sometimes that deliberate attempt is there, and then the state enforcing agency is not acting fast enough to bring those culprit, in taking them into judicial custody. So that in terms of enforcing and implementation, वहाँ पे weakness दिखता है. तो इसीलिए there people are getting that kind of I would say unsaid or hidden support, I would say. But this is entirely a lack of awareness. इसमें generalize भी करने में इट्स अ टू वे शॉट, आप जनरलाइज भी नहीं कर सकते हो, लोग हर जगह ऐसे फेस करते. एक कुछ जगह पे यू विल फेस कि देयर आर लॉट ऑफ एक्सेप्टेंस, देयर आर लॉट ऑफ अंडरस्टैंडिंग. आप कुछ जगह पे यू हैव सो मच ऑफ हेट्रेड. So even personally, if you ask me, even I find it difficult to assess this kind of societal behavior or community behavior against another community. So why this politics of othering is still happening in a diverse country like India. Similar episodes you may also see in Manipur. Before this ethnic violence was there, there used to be an episode where North Indian migrants from Bihar or UP, or generally they are one who comes as a migrants, and they are business who are from Marwari community or from Rajasthan. So they used to also face a lot of this kind of abuse or sometimes atrocities by the majoritarian in the state. So where जहाँ पे मेजोरिटी और माइनॉरिटी रिलेशन है हमारे देश में, एंड इन स्टेट्स लाइक इन स्मॉल स्टेट्स लाइक जैसे उत्तराखंड है, उसमें यू सी मेजोरिटी आर पहाड़ी है, एंड दे आल्सो हैव दैट मंगोलॉइड फीचर्स.
Yes, correct.
या उसमें तो व्हाई डू दे हैव टू डिलिबरेटली डू. we easily pass out when we go to Uttarakhand. People think that we are Pahari.
From Uttarakhand, yes, from
Yeah.
Uttarakhand now.
This is something which is
Yes.
very rare, that this kind of practice, that recent episode,
But
it's really when it comes and वो भी institution में ragging के दौरान. So this is just, I see this as a deliberate attempt on whoever has committed in terms of their individual animosity, and the institution is not preventing what is happening. And I think institution needs to take the onus on why this is happening, and it is not in the community, it is in the educational
yes, I agree. और नहीं डॉक्टर साहब, and I will close with this. I am from a Hindi heartland. मैं हिंदी भाषी क्षेत्र से हूँ. हमारे यहाँ एक बायसनेस और है. एक तो आप नॉर्थ ईस्ट से आ रहे हैं तो वो है, और मेरे ख्याल में एक अक्रॉस दी वो है, लड़कियों के लिए और मुश्किल हो जाता है. एंजल ठीक है, एंजल तो लड़का था, लेकिन a girl from northeast faces at least 10 times more hardship on these remarks than a boy. ये एक नॉर्थ इंडियन और स्पेशली हिंदी स्पीकिंग जो ये है, इनका एक अपना यूएसपी टाइप है कि वी somehow, I don't know, I mean, मैं उसी में बड़ा हुआ हूं, मुझे हरदम ये दुख होता है कि हम वो रिस्पेक्ट, ये आपको लड़की की ये रिस्पेक्ट आपको बंगाल में मिलेगी, महाराष्ट्र में मिलेगी, साउथ में मिलेगी, गोवा में मिलेगी, लेकिन जब आप यहाँ पे आते हैं तो ये एक रिस्पेक्ट टुवर्ड्स अ वुमन, वो शायद क्यों हम कहने को है हमारे ऋषि ये थे और हमारे ऋषि मुनि ये थे और ये थे, but when it comes to actual brass tacks, we lack, and we need to be educated on that. Thank you so much, Dr. Goethe, और thank you for joining. जब आपसे बात करता हूं तो मेरे पास कुछ रहता नहीं, मैं क्या कहूं, कैसे खत्म करूं. मणिपुर को बिना ठीक किए ये देश नहीं ठीक हो सकता है. इट इज इस देश को अगर आप आगे बढ़ना है तो मणिपुर को आपको दुरुस्त करना होगा. थैंक्स सो मच फॉर जॉइनिंग. थैंक यू.